Everyone, welcome to our interview today. This is Nox, and we're going to be doing an interview about her shadowing experience. The reason why we wanted to do this is because I am particularly passionate about female leadership, making sure that we empower people, particularly females, and that people have the opportunity to grow at Huntswood. So I know Nox from being an advisor, and then she progressed her career amazingly into being an L&D facilitator. She approached me about wanting to spend a couple of days with me, shadowing what I did, seeing who I spoke to, and the type of work that I do on a daily basis. I did warn her it was going to be really boring. It's not as glamorous as you might think. And what I loved about the fact that Nox asked me is she really used her initiative. Not only did she use her initiative, she hounded me for a date. So she would ask me every time I saw her, when can I come and shadow for you? When can I come and shadow you? And so eventually she pinned me down, and we agreed 2 days where she would come and spend some time with me. So I'm going to hand over to Nox to just talk about that.
Thank you, Helen. Hi everyone, my name is Nokuthokoza, but people know me in the business as Nox. I'm excited and thrilled to share my experience of shadowing our managing director, Helen Maslin. So I'm a curious person, and I'm an ambitious young lady. So I was very curious on how Helen actually goes about running this big ship called Huntswood. I always asked her, Helen, how do you do it? Specifically around when I knew that we are going to get like another building. So I wanted to know what's her day to day is like, from her interviews, from her calls and her meetings.
So I wanted to pick 2 days for Nox to come and shadow me that was interesting. Me sat on Teams calls all day is not interesting for anybody. So the 2 days that Nox came to shadow me were really interesting, mainly because one of them involved a client visit. And client visits are notoriously incredibly hard work. Lots of effort goes in, lots of rehearsal time, and making sure that we know exactly what we're talking about, we know exactly what the clients are going to see, talk about, etc. And then obviously there were some other meetings that Nox attended. So a jam-packed couple of days where she was run off her feet, as was I, but hopefully incredibly interesting.
So on the first day of shadowing Helen, so we first went through her calendar, which is full to the T. So we had the first meeting with the client directors or heads of state, which was very interesting for me because I saw how everything comes together. So it's not a one-man show, guys. It's basically a leadership, and they work together to make this a success. So we also jumped into a rehearsal where we were planning what we're going to say, how the walkabout when the Sky clients actually do visit, because their prerogative was to make sure that everything is in order when we do the floor walks, because the clients are more interested about seeing the advisors, how we engage with the advisors as well. So that was a mind-blowing experience for me. Hectic. Helen does a lot in one day. She might be looking all classy and elegant, but she takes on quite a lot. And just to add, what I appreciate about Helen is that when a client director or any other heads of state had like a different perspective from her, she will give constructive feedback in a very polite and poised manner. So what I also grasp is that being an influential leader, you don't have to lead by intimidation or by fear. It's important that when you are leading such a big company that you are receptive and that you are welcoming and you're open-minded to other people's opinions and ideas. So that for me was a huge highlight.
So the culture of our business is absolutely what differentiates us, not only for colleagues, but also for clients. So I do know that we've had 2 clients specifically, one from the US, that chose us because of the experience they had here with you, with our advisors, seeing our culture in action, seeing how we empower people and allow them to be their best selves at work. So it's incredibly important. What comes with that is making sure that we allow everybody, whether male or female, to grow and learn and develop. So we've got LMS, which is going great guns in terms of people being able to learn, doing courses, etc. We will be introducing some additional courses that people will be able to go on in order to grow, and we are growing. So there are going to be plenty of opportunities for growth and development, which again only enhances our people first culture. I would much rather be promoting internally than bringing people in from externally.
All right, so and a good example of having people being promoted internally is myself. So before I came into Huntswood, I was an online English teacher and I taught English online for 3 years. And then I came into Huntswood as a customer service advisor for Boost and made my way up. The initial plan and the goal was to be a learning and development facilitator. Now, everything takes time because I made sure that I wanted to be acknowledged and noticed by the company. I prided myself with my work. So when my 3-month over admin contract was ending, so I decided to take a huge, bold step. Like we all know that Helen has an open door policy. So I went into her office, didn't know her. I was just jumping. So I went into her office and I sought for advice. And the first thing Helen said, "What do you have?" And I explained that this is my experience, this is the qualification that I have. And then she was like, "There is an L&D post, go and apply." And I did exactly that. And a few months down the line, I made it to be a learning and development facilitator. And that is something that I'll always take with me, even into my training room. It's easier for me to say that there are opportunities in Huntswood. You are going to grow in Huntswood. Just as long as you do what you need to do and respect the company, respect yourself, you will definitely make it in this land of possibility. So if I had to advise my younger self, I would say, knock on those doors. Your future is also in your hands. Grab it with both hands and run with it. No one can stop you. Only you can stop yourself. Thank you, Helen.
Thanks, Nox. Listen, I think, I would say something very similar to my younger self, which is, don't be so unsure of yourself, particularly when you're leading people. I think sometimes people think servant leadership's just been nice to people. Like, it isn't. And historically, like, people have said I'm too nice. Actually, it's not about that. It's about doing the right thing by people and being firm but fair. So I would definitely say to my younger self, be more sure of yourself and how you lead and how you are with people. And I think probably just to echo what Nox said, so, I've done this role, I've been in South Africa for 2 years now, unbelievably, and I certainly wasn't doing this sort of role beforehand. I've built my career over, I won't say how long because I'm really old, a long time. We'll just say a long time. I've done my career over a long time. And listen, I also started as an advisor. I was taking pension calls from very angry customers when I started my job. And I've done loads and loads of different jobs in between. So my advice would be never outright turn an opportunity down, even if it's a sideways move, because you're always going to learn something. You're always going to learn something about yourself. You're always going to add to your skills toolkit. And it may mean moving sideways means you move up in the future because you've gone and got that extra experience. I've done plenty of sideways moves that have eventually led to a promotion. My second piece of advice is something we've already talked about, which is always work with your leader. Always work with your leader and never leave on bad terms, because that person, you never know when you're going to come across again in the future. And they can be your sponsor, a stakeholder, they could lead to your next job. So certainly when I've gone and got jobs in different companies, generally they've been with people that I've worked with before who've remembered me and asked me to come for an interview because they remembered, A, I did good work, but B, I never left on bad terms and I worked really well with them. So Nox has already talked about that, but always work with your line manager. And then, as I've said, never turn down an opportunity and work hard, right? There is nothing to substitute working hard. and owning your credibility, doing what you do every single day brilliantly. And it goes back to the Huntswood results values, the 6 values. Continue to live those day on day on day. Be amazing at what you do, and opportunity and growth will come.